Hi everybody, it's Kerrie here at the North East Autism Society and I'm joined by Tony and Danny from the Life Science Centre. And
Hello.
Hi.
This week we are going to be making a bird kite, which sounds super exciting. So Danny, tell me more.
Yeah, well, like you say, bird kite. It's two things that fly. And at this time of year, if you go to the park, you'll definitely see a lot of birds flying around, and you might see a few kites as well. So I thought, let's make one, so then we can fly it ourselves and have some fun exploring flight.
Sounds great.
All right, we
What
will
do I need?
We will need some paper, at least one sheet of A4 to make the kite itself, and then either some more A4 paper or some colourful card to do some extra bits.
Okay, so I've got paper and coloured card.
Looks good. Some string,
String,
blue tack,
blue tack,
a pencil,
pencil,
scissors,
scissors. I'll be very careful with these because they're sharp, and if I need help, you could always ask a grown-up.
some felt tips or other colouring instruments,
Colouring pens.
and a stapler.
Ooh, I don't have a stapler, but I have some sticky tape. Will that be okay for joining things together?
I think that'll be good as well, yeah. Okay, our first step is to take one piece of A4 paper and we're going to fold it in half along the long edge. We're going to bring the two short edges together.
So this way it kind of opens out like a book.
Exactly, yeah. And you're going to lay it on the table in front of you so that the creased end is nearest to you.
Okay.
Now we're going to make our wings. And so we're going to take one of the corners and pull it towards the creased edge. And you want it to be about a third along that edge.
So it's about there, okay?
That looks good. Now, I've not folded it. You want to keep it so it's got this curve, but we do need to secure it. So that's what the stapler or the sellotape is for. So if you're using a stapler, be careful with your fingers.
Tape mine down.
Looks good. And then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing with the other corner. So we've got two wings. And again,
Yes, I want to try and make sure they match up so they're even.
Definitely, yes.
And some staplers, Danny, can be quite noisy, can't they?
They can, yes. That's something you should be aware of if you are using one.
And sticky tape is obviously sticky.
Okay, so I've got my two wings.
It's a bit like owl eyes.
Yeah. Our next step is going to be to make a hole for the string to go through. So for this, we'll need our blue tack and put it on a firm surface. And we're going to make a hole just behind where the wings are secured.
Okay. And is that the pencil that we need to do that?
Yeah, that's what the pencil's for. So it's nice and gently, keeping your fingers out of the way. There we go. Hold that.
Oh.
Yeah, looks good, Tony. So now we need some string, and you want quite a bit of string so that it can get quite high. So I think at least 3 times the length of your arm will be good. You can try a bit more, but that's, I'd say, the minimum amount you want.
3. I guess if your string's too long, you might get all tangled before you even get outside.
Exactly, yeah. So this is a good amount to try. Okay, and then we're going to loop the string through the hole we've made and tie it securely.
I might need to make my hole a bit bigger.
Yeah. If your string doesn't go through, you can always have another try with the pencil.
That's better. I guess this is fiddly, so you could always ask a grown-up for help if you need it.
Yeah. And I've not done a complicated knot. I've just tied it around once and then tied it again to keep it secure. Once you have tied it on, you basically have a finished kite, but it doesn't look very bird-like at the moment. So we're going to add a beak, a tail, and then maybe draw on a few extra features. So let's start with the beak and the tail. That's what your other pieces of paper are for.
I think I'd like to make mine look like a fulmar, the big seabirds, because I saw some of those a few weeks ago and they were really glidey. They kind of reminded me of a kite as they were flying.
That's a good one. I think I'll do a swallow. And those are really fast birds, and they've got tails that look a bit like the letter V. So I think that'll look good on my kite.
And this is where you can get really creative, isn't it? Because you could try and do a variety of different birds and see how well they fly.
Yeah.
And if you have a bird book, or you could look online for lots of different birds and see which ones you like the look of best. So I've got my wings, my tail and beak drawn. So now I'm going to cut them out. Once you've got your beak and your tail cut out, you slot the beak in between the two parts of your kite there. And again, you seal it up with some tape or a staple. And you do the same thing with the tail at the back.
Okay. I was using some glue as well to glue my feathers onto this tail here.
It's a good idea. Something that's very distinctive about swallows is they have a big red patch near their neck. So I'm just going to do a little red patch on mine as well, so it looks a bit more swallow-like. You don't want to colour it in too much because then the paper will get a little bit soggy. But a few little details like Tony's grey feathers or my red patch just make it look a little bit more like the bird you're trying to do. Oh, it looks good.
Tony, that looks brilliant.
It's got a big yellow hooked beak like the fulmar.
Yeah.
Danny, yours looks great too. Brilliant. Different shapes, but they both look great.
Yeah. So then it's all about trying it out. And basically you hold the string, so the kite's behind you. You run really fast in a straight line, and hopefully it should fly. You want to be somewhere with a lot of space so you can run in a straight line and make sure there's no obstacles that you're going to run into.
I might take mine to the park later then and try it there.
That's a good idea, but make sure to ask for a grown-up to go with you as well, so then they can help make sure that you're safe while you're flying your kite.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I know how birds fly, but how does this kite fly? Because it's not a real bird.
That's a very good question. It doesn't have any wings that it can flap like a real bird would. Flying is all about balancing different forces, and these forces include gravity, the force that pulls you down, and air resistance, which is the force of air pushing against things. So if you were to drop a piece of paper, it would fall to the floor, but it would drift as it did so because its wide surface is hitting a lot of the air. It's got a lot of air resistance, so it'll float down to the floor. And if we just had a piece of paper on a string, that's what would happen. It would just kind of flap around and then eventually probably hit the floor. With our kite, we've folded these two tubes to be like its wings, and that makes it stronger, gives it a better structure. And so when the air hits our kite, the air pushes against it, and there's quite a lot of air resistance. And this generates enough force to lift it up into the air where it'll fly along beside us while we're running.
That was a really good activity, Danny. I think we've learned a lot there. I think our young people would love to try this at home. So I think if you do try this at home, please take some photographs and videos and share them with us. We'd love to see what different types of birds you come up with. I think that was a really good idea, Danny, having a look online or get a bird book and try different ones out and see which one flies best. And we'd love to know. Okay, so thanks, Tony. Thanks, Danny. We'll see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.